Today's tech news moves fast, but understanding it shouldn't be hard. That's why Snarful Solutions Group brings you Connecting the Dots, where we break down what's happening in tech and why it matters to you. Now, let's dive in with your hosts.
Imagine handing over your literal biometric identity, like an irreversible scan of your eyeball.
Right, just giving it away.
Exactly. And in exchange, you get a digital lottery ticket that is mathematically designed to go to zero.
It is wild. You are essentially trading a permanent piece of what makes you human for, well, a fleeting illusion of wealth.
And today, we are exploring how tech's biggest visionaries might quietly be building the architecture for widespread digital exploitation.
All under the banner of social good, naturally.
Right, always. It is a massive collision of technology, finance, and basic human rights playing out in real time.
Welcome to Connecting the Dots, the daily radio-style show where we break down the latest tech news and figure out exactly how it impacts your everyday life. We are coming to you straight from the Snarful Solutions Group in Sacramento, California. I am Morgan.
And I am Alex. It is Tuesday, April 28th, 2026. We are thrilled you are spending part of your day with us.
Absolutely.
But before we get into the heavy hitters of the tech world, let's get you caught up on what is happening outside your window and in your wallet.
Good call.
If you are local to us here in Sacramento, it is a gorgeous day, sunny 73 degrees Fahrenheit with just a light breeze at about 3 miles per hour.
Sound perfect. But for anyone tuning in from elsewhere in the country, do keep a close eye on the sky today. There are currently 392 active U.S. weather alerts.
Wow, that is a lot.
Yeah, and 142 of those are active over land. It is a super busy weather day nationally, so checking weather.gov for the specifics in your area is definitely a smart move.
For sure. On the sports front, if you follow Northern California teams, Monday was essentially a mandatory rest day across the board.
A rare, quiet night.
Yeah, the SF Giants, the Oakland Athletics, and the Sacramento Kings all had the day off yesterday, April 27th. Zero stress on the scoreboard for you.
A moment of peace, which honestly stands in stark contrast to the financial markets.
Oh, totally.
Looking at yesterday's close, the traditional markets had a steady, optimistic start to the week. The Dow Jones saw a slight bump.
Up about 55 points, right?
It's exactly.
Yeah.
Closing up 55.59 points to end at 49,167.79.
Yeah.
And the S&P 500 followed suit, ticking up 21.19 points to close at 7,173.931.
Crypto, however, kind of woke up on the wrong side of the bed this morning.
Yeah, it did.
As of today, Tuesday, Bitcoin took a hit, down 1.6% to trade at $76,131.80.
I mean, a pullback like that in crypto is pretty standard Tuesday volatility.
It's true.
But the sheer volume of capital moving through those markets really sets the stage for the massive corporate battles we're seeing unfold this week.
Oh, the financial gravity of those market numbers is impossible to ignore. Let's explore this. We are opening up the Morningstar Tech article report. And those billions of dollars in market movement lead us perfectly into a literal trillion-dollar legal showdown.
Right in our backyard, too, at a federal courthouse in Oakland.
The trial of the century. Elon Musk versus Sam Altman and OpenAI.
Today's episode is brought to you by Strong Coffee, the premium instant coffee that tastes like a traditional brew, but is packed with 15 grams of protein, MCTs, and adaptogens like ashwagandha. Get clean, sustained energy without the jitters. Use promo code SNARFUL for 20% off at strongcoffeecompany.com.
So to lay the groundwork for you here, Elon Musk is suing for up to $134 billion in damages.
It is an astronomical number.
It really is. But the fascinating twist here is the destination of those funds. He doesn't want a single cent of that money handed to him personally.
Right. His demand is that the $134 billion be funneled straight back into OpenAI's nonprofit arm.
And we always like to remind you that we are completely impartial here. We are not taking sides on the legal claims or the individuals involved, just reporting the facts of the source.
Exactly.
But the foundation of Musk's argument is that Sam Altman, OpenAI president Greg Brockman, and Microsoft reneged on the company's original charitable mission.
He is basically claiming he was manipulated into funding a nonprofit meant to benefit humanity, which Altman and his team then flipped into a massive profit-driven juggernaut.
Right. And the structure of this trial under Judge Yvonne Gonzalez-Rogers is highly calculated. It is split into two distinct phases.
First, we have the liability phase,
which is expected to wrap up by May 21st, I believe.
Yeah, and this phase focuses entirely on answering one single question. Did any legal wrongdoing actually occur?
And if the court determines the answer is yes, only then do they move to a remedies phase to figure out the $134 billion question of damages.
To put the sheer scale of this into perspective, you have to look at the broader board. You have Musk's combined XAI and SpaceX heading for an IPO.
Huge moves.
Right. And on the other side, you have OpenAI eyeing its own IPO later this year. We are talking about combined entities worth over $2 trillion on the private market.
$2 trillion. That is roughly the entire gross domestic product of Italy or Canada sitting in a single courtroom in Oakland.
The financial stakes are astronomical, but the legal strategy is where the mechanics get really interesting. Just last week, Musk's legal team made a pretty significant pivot.
What did they do?
They dropped their fraud claims to focus entirely on, quote, unjust enrichment, end quote, and breach of charitable trust.
Let me try to break down why that matters, because this feels like a massive shift in strategy to me.
It definitely is.
Imagine you donate millions of dollars to build a beautiful, completely free public library for your city. You stock the shelves, you hire the brilliant librarians.
The great civic deed.
Right. And then a few years later, the founders change the locks on the doors and start charging everyone hefty subscription fees to read the books. That is essentially what Musk is alleging.
It is a great analogy.
So by dropping the fraud claim, it seems like Musk's lawyers realized that proving Altman intended to steal the library from day one is almost impossible. You can't easily prove what was inside someone's head 7 years ago.
No, you really can't.
But unjust enrichment. That just means looking at the math today. If Musk dropped his fraud claims to just focus on unjust enrichment and breach of charitable trust, doesn't that suggest this is more about enforcing a contract than proving intentional villainy?
You are touching on the exact legal mechanism at play here. Fraud carries a massive burden of proof regarding intent. Unjust enrichment simply asks, did one party financially benefit at the expense of another in a way the law considers unfair, based on their initial agreements?
So it strips away the drama?
Exactly. It takes the case from a dramatic Shakespearean tale of betrayal and boils it down to brass tacks. Did you violate the terms of the 501c3 trust by creating a capped profit subsidiary that hoards the intellectual property?
And for you listening, every time you use ChatGPT to draft an email or your kids use it to brainstorm a homework project, you are generating value and data for the system.
You are part of it.
You really are. This trial isn't just billionaires fighting over a corporate pie. It will dictate whether the future of artificial general intelligence,
meaning systems that will eventually outsmart humans at most economically valuable tasks.
right, whether that future is driven by profit-maximizing tech giants or by entities legally bound to a public benefit mission, that directly impacts the tools we use at work and home.
It is a battle for the underlying architecture of the next 50 years of human productivity.
Yeah.
So let's unpack this by looking at the people burdened with actually making sense of this in the courtroom.
The jury. On Monday, a 9-person jury was seated in Oakland. It is an incredibly diverse cross-section of the public.
Yeah, we are talking about a painter, a psychiatrist,
And a former Lockheed Martin employee, right?
Yep. The challenge of finding an impartial group for two of the most famous polarizing men alive really cannot be overstated.
Oh, I can imagine.
During jury selection, multiple prospective jurors openly confessed to holding deeply negative views about Musk's political ideology. Some expressed profound anxiety about AI technology in general.
Which is super common these days.
Totally. The tension in the room was so thick that Judge Gonzalez-Rogers bluntly stated on the record the reality is people don't like him.
Wow. A federal judge saying people don't like him about one of the richest men on earth directly to the jury pool is a stunning piece of courtroom transparency.
It really speaks to the impossibility of ignoring the elephant in the room. However, she followed that statement by expressing confidence in the American judicial process, asking if citizens can still maintain integrity even when they dislike the plaintiff.
And did they agree?
Yeah, the selected jurors assured the court they could set their personal feelings aside and focus purely on the facts. But there is a massive caveat to all of this.
Okay.
For this first liability phase, the jury's verdict is merely advisory.
Wait, really? Advisory. Meaning they sit through weeks of dense technical and financial testimony, deliver a verdict, and it basically functions as a suggestion box.
Basically, yes.
Judge Gonzalez-Rogers still makes the final unilateral decision.
That is the legal reality of this specific phase. The judge holds the ultimate authority on the liability ruling.
I have to push back on this entire process then.
Okay, let's hear it.
If the jury is only advisory, and the judge holds all the cards anyway, why go through the rigorous, incredibly highly publicized drama of seating jurors who openly admit they dislike the plaintiff? Why drag a painter and a psychiatrist away from their lives for a month? Is this just about setting the stage for the court of public opinion?
It is entirely about the court of public opinion, and it illustrates exactly how modern corporate warfare is waged.
Interesting.
Trials of this magnitude are sought on two simultaneous fronts, the legal battlefield and the public relations battlefield. By seating an advisory jury, both legal teams get a real-time focus group.
Ah, I see.
They get to see which arguments resonate with a defense contractor versus an artist. More importantly, if the judge's final ruling aligns with the jury's advisory verdict, it lends impenetrable public legitimacy to the outcome.
And if she rules against the jury?
Then it opens the door for the losing side to claim the system is rigged.
For everyone watching this unfold, it really highlights the intense polarization surrounding tech leaders today. We can no longer separate a CEO's public persona,
Like their political actions, their social media presence.
right, from their actual business practices. It is a calculus every consumer performs now when deciding which electric vehicle to buy or which software ecosystem to lock their family into.
The modern tech CEO is as much the product as the software they sell. Moving on to our next story. Let's look at how that very public sentiment is being weaponized digitally.
Okay.
Because while the physical jury deliberates in Oakland, a massive parallel war is happening online.
Yeah, while Sam Altman and Greg Brockman were physically sitting in the courtroom on Monday, Elon Musk, who was not present, was actively utilizing his platform X to sway public opinion.
And he did this by shining a massive floodlight on Altman's other highly controversial business venture.
Right. Musk amplified an X post by investigative journalist Ronan Farrow. Farrow's post promoted a massive 15,000-word New Yorker expose detailing Sam Altman's alleged history of deceptive business practices.
And Musk didn't just share it. He endorsed a very specific nickname, posting, quote, "Calling him Scam Altman is accurate."
Scam Altman. The origin of that nickname is where this story gets incredibly dark.
Yeah, it does.
Scam Altman didn't start with the OpenAI lawsuit or the boardroom drama. It originated deep within the cryptocurrency community, specifically regarding a project Altman co-founded called WorldCoin, which recently rebranded to just World.
The premise of WorldCoin sounds like a dystopian science fiction novel. It was pitched to the public as a futuristic, universal basic income system utilizing cryptocurrency.
Sounds nice in theory.
Sure. But to prove you are a unique human and claim your digital currency, the WLD token, you have to allow a silver bowling ball-sized device called the Orb to scan your irises.
The Orb. It takes a permanent biometric map of your eyeball to create a cryptographic world ID. And they raised over $250 million from massive venture capital firms to build this infrastructure.
But the backlash was swift and severe. MIT Technology Review published a scathing investigation calling it a, quote, biometric database from the bodies of the poor.
That is a heavy title.
And the headline was entirely factual. The project aggressively targeted low-income countries for its initial rollout, places like Indonesia, Sudan, and Kenya.
Wow.
Local agents were paid commissions to sign people up. They were essentially trading small, volatile amounts of digital currency for the permanent biometric data of villagers who often lack the context to grasp the long-term privacy implications.
This feels like a blatant form of digital colonialism. It is like offering a vulnerable person a lottery ticket in exchange for their permanent fingerprints, all while the people running the lottery are mathematically guaranteed to win the jackpot.
Your lottery analogy maps perfectly onto the financial mechanics of WorldCoin, which brings us to the tokenomics. Crypto investigators like ZachXBT have flagged the financial structure of the WLD token as highly predatory.
Let's break down tokenomics because it often sounds like a Silicon Valley buzzword, but it is the actual mathematical engine dictating how people lose their savings. How did the insiders guarantee they won the jackpot?
It all comes down to artificial scarcity. When the WLD token launched, it had a hard-coded total supply of 10 billion tokens.
Okay, 10 billion.
But the creators only released 1.4% of that total supply into the open market.
Wait, if they have 10 billion tokens, but they only let the public trade 1.4% of them, isn't that just a deliberate manipulation tactic? By restricting the supply that tightly, any retail demand will cause the price to instantly skyrocket.
Exactly. It creates a massive financial illusion. Because the circulating supply was so tiny, the price shot up, giving the project a fully diluted valuation of $22 billion.
And fully diluted valuation just means what the entire company would be worth if all 10 billion tokens were trading at that inflated price, right?
Precisely. But here's the really predatory part. While everyday retail investors were buying in at the top, the insiders were quietly cashing out millions of dollars.
But wait, how do they cash out if their tokens are technically locked up?
Through what are called over-the-counter, or OTC, channels, insiders routed massive blocks of tokens privately to big institutional buyers and exchanges like Binance and FalconX.
So they didn't sell them on the public apps.
Right. By selling over-the-counter, they completely bypassed the public market, meaning their massive sell-offs didn't immediately tank the price on the retail exchanges.
Unbelievable.
They secured their fortunes privately, and once the market caught up to the reality of the supply, the token price collapsed.
The numbers on that collapse are just staggering. The token is down 97.9% from its high, currently trading around 26 cents. So, to put that plainly, the venture capitalists and founders who created the system secured millions in real-world dollars through private backdoors, while the vulnerable populations who lined up to scan their eyeballs hold a digital token that lost almost all its value.
And the fallout extends beyond just financial loss. The system designed to mathematically prove human uniqueness actually spawned a sprawling black market for human identity.
Oh no.
In China, where crypto regulations are strict, you can go on e-commerce platforms like Taobao and buy verified world IDs. Brokers are sourcing these eyeball scans from people in places like Cambodia and Kenya and selling them online for anywhere from $1.40 to $70.
When you look at the totality of it, the massive multi-billion-dollar valuation, the charismatic founder, the lofty language of universal basic income acting as a shield for incredibly questionable financial engineering, it is impossible not to draw historical comparisons here.
Oh, the crypto community is loudly drawing comparisons to the catastrophic collapse of FTX and Sam Bankman-Fried. Both ventures share an eerie, almost identical playbook.
How so?
They both wrapped highly predatory financial engineering in the utopian language of social good. Sam Bankman-Fried used the philosophy of effective altruism,
Right.
while Sam Altman's WorldCoin uses the promise of universal basic income. Crucially, both projects relied heavily on launching operations in jurisdictions where government and regulatory oversight was the weakest. It is a clear pattern of exporting a dangerous financial experiment to vulnerable global populations, wrapped in the comforting language of human dignity.
Governments are finally waking up to the threat, though. Kenya's High Court ordered WorldCoin to halt all biometric data collection and force them to delete the data they had already gathered.
Which is a huge step.
Yeah, and Spain temporarily banned the project entirely for severe GDPR privacy violations. Hong Kong police even raided operator locations, and Singapore launched criminal investigations into the illegal trading of these biometric accounts.
It serves as a profound warning for all of us. We are constantly offered extreme convenience, or in this case, quick cash, in exchange for our data. But trading your biometric privacy, your literal unchangeable iris scan, for a volatile digital token illustrates how social good tech initiatives can sometimes mask incredibly dangerous, extractive financial systems.
You really have to be careful.
Absolutely. When a piece of technology asks for a piece of your physical identity, you have to ask who really holds the keys to that database and how they profit from it.
Before we wrap up, a quick thanks to Old Glory, an iconic music and sports fan merch store. Perfect for the techie in your life. Use promo code SNARFUL for 15% off at oldglory.com.
Synthesizing these three Morningstar stories, we are really looking at an incredible defining moment in tech history today. We have a $134 billion courtroom battle over the fundamental soul and operating model of OpenAI, which will dictate who controls artificial general intelligence.
We also have a jury selection process that exposes the absolute impossibility of escaping personal bias when tech leaders become polarizing political figures.
Exactly. And we have the global exploitation concerns surrounding WorldCoin's biometric crypto experiments.
None of these are isolated incidents. We are witnessing a massive inflection point for society. These tech titans, Musk, Altman, and their peers are no longer just building apps or consumer software products.
No, they are way past that.
They are actively restructuring global financial systems. They are defining what legally and cryptographically constitutes human uniqueness. They are quite literally shaping the future of human infrastructure.
That reality leads to a lingering, essential question we all really need to mull over today.
Let's hear it.
With so much unchecked power concentrated in the hands of a few tech billionaires, individuals who are actively building systems that require our biometric data to function, systems that influence our digital reality every single day.
Yeah.
Are we participating as citizens in the future of technology, or are we just becoming its raw material?
We're here to help at Snarful, so reach out on our website if you have any more questions.
That's a wrap on today's top stories. Remember, tech doesn't have to be complicated, and we're here to help connect the dots. If you've got questions or want to learn more, visit us at snarful.com. Thanks for listening, and we'll catch you next time.